haunting, shining mirages. And it's just behind these walls I'm feeling haunted. 'Cause it's pulling me in just to throw my open heart into the night. Oh, my head starts to spin, but I'm staying on this ride. 'Cause I've got to push on.
Which is, what does Andy Arts look for when he is investing in a creator on Bitclout? And like, sort of, what is your strategy? I know you've touched on it, but if you want to emphasize a little bit for anybody listening, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, sure. I think we're all figuring out in real time. So there's not one crystallized strategy. It changes. It's very fluid. But I think it is a reflection of how I look at the world and how I've sort of developed my investing practice over the last decade at Social Capital. And it's really looking for long-term value creation.
Mm-hmm.
And so what we do at Social Capital is we're trying to transform society by solving the world's hardest problems, making society a better place through financial services, education, healthcare, a whole host and smattering of things we work on. And the quick flips, easy come, easy go, things that shoot out of the gate may tend not to sustain themselves. So I think the mindset is when we're investing in startups in the private investing side of the world, it takes a long time to build long, enduring, sustaining value.
Yeah.
So I got on the platform and I knew, the way bonding curves work, that there was a lot of quick money to be made. So of course I put some bets down on, the Elon coin, the Naval coin, the Chamath coin, and then slowly started to migrate to like, oh, who are the people that I know are going to be early adopters of this platform because they're either self-promoters or marketers or people that are interested in finance, and they'll come over here and they'll and in some cases I got them right. In some cases I got them wrong. I think, Austin Reef at Morning Brew, he has a publication. He's a very good marketer, very good at Twitter. So I thought, okay, he'll come over here and he might see the value here. And sure enough, like he kind of took to it, and that took off.
Nice.
Other folks who had existing, there's sort of this opportunity cost of social media too. Like, I have thousands of followers, not millions of followers on other platforms. So I'm not leaving a lot behind over there. I've kind of intentionally avoided other platforms for part of the reason you mentioned, that it's more of like a lean back consumptive experience versus like more of an engaging dialogue. I think everyone knows about how social media, like, it's very easy to get canceled and things you say get taken out of context. There's not a lot of nuance. And part of it is because we have this small community of early adopters here. It does seem to me that there's a high degree of openness amongst people. And the platform is more generated against, there's an economic driver here. So we're all kind of aligned in a way of how do we invest in these things and support people.
Yeah.
And so I guess kind of fusing like those two ideas, I started realizing, well, okay, there's quick money to be made in identifying people that, will use the platform and engage. And then at the same time, there's, I think the payoff will be the greatest for people that, kind of have a vision, can grind and sort of see this thing through, because we don't know what this is going to become. So I started realizing like I want to bias towards folks who are very active on the site. So Maz, you identified you. We started engaging. I was like, wow, I like what you're doing. You're really engaged. You seem to be really contributing, helping build the community in your own way. Who knows what that'll become? But I started to think about like, what does momentum look like, and what does a cadence of engagement look like that will translate into long-term sustained value? I think, it's kind of hard to. So that was sort of phase one, was trying to like, moneyball some of these undervalued creators that would come on. And then phase two was like, okay, who are the app developers that are going to start building the tools and services we all use? And now phase three, I think it's more about like, who are the individuals that are really engaged in the platform and committed? Because then those people, it's really hard to, we saw with some of these apps. I think Chris McCantron put out the list of, I think it was 18 startups on day one. 2 weeks ago, there were no startups on BitClout. Maybe BitClout Pulse was the first one. Then he put out a list, and there was 9, and then there were 18, and now I think the list is up to like 55 or 60 startups.
Yep.
And what you saw is that became a tactic that sort of devolved. Now it's a tactic to like, okay, let's just put up a quick landing page and a screenshot as a way to like, earn some clout, because now there's these, there's a little bit of clout chasing going on. And then we saw, you see rug pulls happening at the same time. I got rug
Yep.
pulled on one called I think it was Clout Reverse or Reverse Clout or something.
Oh, really?
And so yeah,
Dang.
so yeah, it was tough, but now I think yeah, it's about anyone can put up a project. It doesn't take much effort to imagine what the future could look like.
Yeah.
Um, the coin prices, while they might like shoot up out of excitement, it's irrational exuberance. So I think I'm really interested in just finding people that are committed to building things long term, and folks that are engaged early on, that fall in love with the platform, even if they're not developers, even if they're just active users, even if
Yeah.
they're not coming from a technical background. I think it doesn't really matter. You can over time, your creativity will lead you to imagine all the possibilities, and I think those people are going to be the best sort of builders of this new world.
What do you guys think it will take for, let's say, an established creator on YouTube or on Instagram to decide to come to Bitclout and start providing, unique content on Bitclout as well, and maybe over time, switching completely to Bitclout? Is it the lack of, understanding of crypto, or is there anything that we're missing to bridge that gap?
Yeah. So one way to frame it might be in risk and reward. And if we think about YouTube, the risk is that you have to stay within their rules. You have to live within their tools. You can be demonetized. You can be deplatformed. And so the risk that you accept for being on those platforms is offset by the reward that you get by aggregating users, which they aggregate for you,
Yeah.
the tools which they provide you, and then the monetization which they give you. And so that risk reward is a trade off every creator on YouTube makes and chooses their platform accordingly.
Yeah.
So the question is, what is the math on BitClout? We don't have the same deplatforming risk that you have. We don't have the same demonetization risk. There is a tremendous risk in the volatility. Look at some of the coins, the Luis game.
Yeah.
That's not fun for fans or for players to have their coins either 10x and then lose half its value in minutes or seconds. So
Yeah.
that's a risk that they take. But then the upside is what is that upside? I think we're still all struggling to figure out how it's used, what's the utility, how can creators do things differently that they can't do on other platforms with this social token.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, and
Is this an asset that appreciates over time? Should you be telling your fans like, hey, get in early, hold a token in me, keep it for 10 years, put it in your security deposit box? Or is
Yeah.
it, hey, this is a redeemable for a ticket to my concert or some arcade token that you should be thinking about? It's unclear how to think about these tokens long term.
Yeah.
and I think that that's also part of the community game here too, right? Is we're going to be, this is a trial and error phase. As you can see with Diamond Hands, he's been testing things out over and over again, such as even one of the flaws that we saw in the beginning was, why am I holding my creator coin? Why can't I sell? And that was a big problem that creators were constantly coming to me for, which is, when am I ever going to be able to liquidate? Because why am I spending all this time on this platform having teams manage it, but then I'm going to always get a bad reputation if I sell even $20 of my coin? So that
True.
being put into BitClout then reestablishes the mindset of, this is going to be just distributed back into the BitClout community. And so testing these things over and over again is what's going to get BitClout to where it needs to go to create a creator economy. And I don't think that you're going to see, I think you'll see TikTok creators be super successful on here, and YouTubers and any sort of content along all social platforms, and maybe not social platforms itself. You might see independent contractors who are designers and podcasters and down that road. But what I do think is people are made for BitClout, and I can't tell you who it's going to be right now because that's all to be determined. But you will see
Yeah.
BitClout stars. You're seeing Jake and Craig put out so much content to the community, and they didn't. That was all by accident, and they realized that they had the ability to connect, kind of like Arts does too, with others. And I
Yeah.
see how Arts last night talked about asking the BitClout community for headphone advice. Well, maybe you ask that on Facebook, maybe you ask that on LinkedIn, but it's like more of a family that you're building into, because Arts now has followers that are not just followers, they're investors, and they want to see Arts succeed. And maybe that's his way of communicating with his audience. And I really love seeing how you can do different things within the platform.
Playing the game, right? Of like, oh, I'm going to pull out of this person, but I'm going to go into you. So like, hey, I'm excited to see how you show up. Kind of like, not like pressure, but like, hey man, I'm right. I'm counting on you to show up, which is something my friend Stefan did in the beginning. He did all the celebrity stuff. And then I go,
Yeah.
hey, I'm kind of hurt that you didn't invest in my coin. And he's like, bro, we were like trying to just get going. The system was full of errors and I just didn't get around to it. And I was like, that's cool. But I felt a little like offended almost. And then he's like, he goes, bro, I will buy your coin and I will put as much as I am in to some of these celebrities. He's like, but you got to start showing up like one. You're going to show up like a celebrity. You're going to be one. And I was like, okay, man, let's do this. And the next day, I opened up my room on Clubhouse with Thor, the founder of Bitclout Club. We opened up that room, and that night we had 400 or 500 people in our room at any given time. And I grew 500 followers on Clubhouse. And the
Yep.
thing that this guy said of believing in me, I actually felt like that did something for me to be like, all right, somebody believes in me and
Yeah.
invests in me, I'm going to show up.
Dude, you're hitting the nail on the head for me. Exactly. So for me, once I got my first big investment, I was like, okay, now I need to bring value to the platform, right? Now I need to be engaged. Now I need to see what I can do. My skill set can provide value to this community. And since then, yeah, it's just going.
This thread, I guess, are the big tech companies, the Twitters and the Instagrams and stuff of the world. But I just think once it hits scale, it's going to be really hard to slow this thing down.
Absolutely. And it's funny because the day that I first joined was around that same time that you were mentioning when there was that, login. I thought it was a scam. But, I thought it was a scam. People were saying it was a scam on Twitter, on, Reddit. They were just saying it's a scam. I still took a chance. I put some Bitcoin in there. I'm like, I'm going to see what this is about just because the concept, the idea of decentralized social media caught my eye. I'm like, this can be huge. We need this in a time like today with everything going on, with the politics and GameStop and all that stuff.
100%.
It was like the perfect time,
Yeah.
So I'm now it's not a scam, now I'm completely, I'm like, it would be more work to make it a scam than it is to what they're doing now.
Yeah.
So
we know it's not a scam. We know who the founding team is. We know the people behind it. It's flat out not a scam. And we know it's being listed on an exchange. It's not a scam. It is what it is. It's a real platform. It's a real, decentralized social media platform that is in early stage. It's not a scam at all. And we'll see where it goes. But yeah, you're right. I mean, I still think that's kind of the mindset of a lot of people, unfortunately, but I think as this progresses and, once the listing exchange hits and there are people actually making, money off of this thing and are able to sell their Bitclout coin, then all that goes away,
Absolutely. And I go on Twitter every now and then and I just look up like what people think about Bitclout. And one out of every 3 posts is like, oh, it's a scam and here's why. And again, it just doesn't make sense because people don't take the time to actually do the work and research and just try it out themselves. But what do you recommend for somebody that wants to learn about Bitclout? How do they go about it? What are the first steps they should take? Let's say they're watching this video. I want to sign up. What should I do?
Yeah, I think reading the white paper is always really interesting because that kind of explains what Bitclout is and their vision early on. And then it's really easy to sign up, right? Like you can just go and sign up pretty quickly. You don't need any money to do so. You add your phone number. You can sign up. You can start playing around with the platform. I really advise, just kind of going on and searching and seeing who is going up the leaderboard on whether it's like the most diamond or top creators and just kind of seeing how they're pushing out content. And then just be you, man. Just put out as much content as you can in your voice and try to add value back to your community. And then if you feel comfortable, maybe push over some other individuals from your other social platforms to come take a look. But yeah, I think, reading the white paper is always smart just to have an understanding of what Bitclout is and the vision for it. And then just jumping on the platform and diving in. I mean, that's the best way to figure it out. Following guys like you and just kind of seeing the content that you're pushing out, I think will really help a lot of individuals, kind of understand what this is and where it's going to go.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the best way to do it.
I cannot wait until I can actually schedule the posts because, I will be traveling a lot soonish. And I will be more like in European time zones. So, I cannot wait until I can schedule the posts.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. That'd be really cool.
Yeah.
Someone should probably, I'm sure someone's working on that right now as we
You
talk.
have to share your seed phrase, I'm sure, for that. So we don't want that.
Oh, you're right. You're right. You're right. We'll see how that works.
Yep.
Absolutely. So I know you are a VC in the real world and you've kind of transitioned into a creator on Bitclout. So that's pretty cool that you do a little bit of both, because you said you're not really investing at the moment, right? You're more focused on creating.
I decided not to. So that's the same reason why I could never get into trading, stock trading, because it's a full-time job. You really need to, follow all the news and all the movements to understand and predict how the stock is going to behave. And it takes a lot of time. And, it's impossible to combine it with another day job, right? So at some point, I have a lot of friends who do stock trading as their main job. And by looking at them, I was like, well, I just don't really have time for that. So not my thing. And then when I just got onto BitClout, I actually started supporting people, but I just put like small amounts. I don't know, like 10, 20, $50 only, just to test the waters, so to speak. And then I realized that, to actually earn money on that, you have to do the same. You have to actually follow all the creators and understand how they behave. And, I missed a couple of moments when influencers from other social networks, they joined BitClout. They were very active for a week. And I was like, oh, that's cool. So they're going to grow. And what do you think happened? So I stopped following them. So they stopped posting and their value dropped from like 1,000 to 100. So, bad for me because I could have cashed out at the 1,000, right? So I didn't. So it takes a lot of time. So, people who can do that, that totally works, but it's just not my thing. I'd rather create content and, I still have my day job. So it's just a lot to handle. So I decided to take off my investor hat on BitClout and I'm just going to be a creator there. Well, there must be something where I'm just a creator, right?
And it's awesome because if I'm a new creator on Bitclout, I don't have any Bitcoin, I don't have any Bitclout, I don't know anything about it, but I come on the platform and I make valuable content, I will be rewarded without having to really put any money into the platform. And then I can learn as I go along. So I think that will open it up for a lot of new creators that don't know anything about crypto or don't have any or don't want to risk any Bitcoin, So it's a very interesting model that we're witnessing right now. And yeah, I guess time will tell how it plays out, but it's awesome to be a part of it.
I agree. This part of what I see is that Bitclout is a powerful wealth allocation system. And somebody the way Bitclout works is somebody who's on the Forbes 400, let's say one of the richest people in the world. Let's take Elon Musk just because, he's the fun one to talk about a lot of time, but let's just take him, right? I'm like, Elon, you're the Forbes 400. Awesome. You're number one. How can you also simultaneously be on the generous 500? Like, how does somebody be on the Forbes 400 and also the generous 500, right? You have to tell Forbes, can you guys change it so that you look at their net worth plus what they've donated? Can you do that? I don't know. Maybe they will. But how do you do that? Because if somebody's the richest guy in the world and all of a sudden he's like, I know I'm the richest guy, I'm number one, but I want to really help out these people in Africa or whatever. I'm sorry using that as an example, but I want to help these people. So I'm going to give them 10 billion. Now I'm number 25 on the Forbes 400. Now my friends at the country club are like, hey, you're not number one anymore. And you're like, no.
I know a bunch of kids, they want to be full-time YouTubers, full-time TikTokers. Do you see full-time Bitclouters as a thing in the future, especially for a younger generation?
I think it depends, like to be honest, because you have to have like a certain mindset with this platform, right? Like with TikTok, I can do random dances and I can post like really, really crappy content, and sometimes it just goes viral. Like those like some of them people are really, really talented. Like, don't get me wrong, but like there's like videos who just like what they do is they just put like a video on the top of their head and then they look up and like make weird reactions.
I've seen those.
30, 40 million views, and that's like a bunch of money. Like they actually pay pretty decently, right? But with Bitcoin, you can't do that. Like you can just tell who's a classic, basic person just posting like questions they got from Google. But you can also tell people who are putting in effort, like developers and analyzers and stuff like that, right? Like there's a
Yeah.
big difference. You can't just get on the platform and expect not to do anything and make it, right? But like you can kind of do that with TikTok and YouTube, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I definitely do think there will be like, BitClout consultants for projects on BitClout, BitClout influencers, BitClout developers, like all these things I think in my head will be full-time jobs. And especially like when Exchange comes out, I
Yeah.
think the price will kind of like drop a little bit, which is expected, but then it'll come back up in the long term. And at that point, like if you can get paid in Bitclout, like for clothing or music or NFTs, like if you can treat it as a form of currency to exchange things that people
Yeah.
make instead of, stocks or anything like that, I think that will be like, the long term vision or the long term goal. So definitely
Exactly.
think it's possible.
That brings me to my next point, which is your project, Bits Today. Definitely, I would say one of the most important projects on the platform.
Wow.
How did it
Thank
get
you.
started? How did it get started, and what has made it become what it is today?
Yeah, man. So this story, people ask this a lot, and I don't think it ever gets old. It's such a fun story. Bits Today is for people that don't know, it's a daily digest of all things Bitclout. It's an article format, and currently it's on Medium, it's on Substack. For free, you could get it in your mailbox every day.
Mhm.
And we just talk about really all things Bitclout, and it started a couple months back. Started by accident. At least I started it by accident. So what ended up happening is Andy Arts, who's a true Genesis block OG whale on Bitclout and in real life. He posted a post saying, "Hey, I'm moving out of my apartment today, so I'm not going to be on Bitclout. If someone, whatever creator or team of creators writes like a newsletter or an article going over everything that I missed out on today, I'll invest in the team or the project or the creator or whatever."
Nice.
So he posted that, and it just kind of blew up. And I had no intention of doing that. People immediately started commenting on it and started creating it. He created this sort of contest, right?
Yeah.
And this was, I think it was a week or two into me being on Bitclout, and I had already felt really guilty because I had seemingly wasted so much time on this platform that I was neglecting my real job, and I was really far behind. And so I was about to log off and go to lunch, and I was going to probably my thought was to not even log back in. Like, oh, this was a fun experience, but I'm wasting too much time. I have rent to pay. I need to focus on my real life, real job. And I saw Arts post that post, and I commented on it. I was like, dude, this is a good idea. Everything that he posts was like absolute fire. So I was like, dude, this is a killer idea. And of all the comments on it, he responded to my comment and he said, "So are you volunteering?" ?
Love it.
And I'm like,
You have no choice.
yeah. I'm not going to be like, "No, man." Like, I'm not going to do it. So I was like, yeah, I'll do it. Why not? It just seemed like a good opportunity. And as soon as I said yes and submitted the comment, he just aped into my account. And really all of Bitclout was following that thread at that time. So a bunch of other people jumped in. I got absolutely spammed with people, wanting to contribute and help. And then I started, and then me and a couple others created the first issue, and the rest is sort of history. So we have a small team, and I guess that the next step after I got absolutely spammed by people jumping into my account, DMing me, commenting, saying that they want to help. I thought, okay, I need to get this. I just need to get an issue out or one article out. So I reached out to a couple people. The first person that I reached out to was Taylor, who's his name's Drip Colt on Bitclout, and he's my best friend from like high school, and he's a killer like graphic designer. So I reached out to him and I'm like, hey, like I have to do this thing now, and I need to create the account, and it's not letting me create it without a profile picture. So can you like whip up like a logo for me? And he's like, yeah, whatever. What do you want? And I was like, okay, let's do something with a globe. So he created the globe, the bits that you see in the Bits Today logo. I was like, do something with the globe and have it BitClout related, and just like copy the Morning Brew logo. And he spent all but 2 minutes creating a logo, and he did the globe, and he put the BitClout logo on the globe. And I was like, okay, I like it, but I feel like the BitClout logo is pretty tired. Everyone's sort of using it. I want to stand out a bit. So since we're going to be going over everything that happened today, like re-going over it, what if you do like the Reclout symbol? And this was actually the day before Reclouts were released.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So he put that there, and then he sent me like 3 variations, and I grabbed the first one he sent me and I uploaded it, and like, that's our logo. I spent all but 30 seconds, maybe even less, thinking of the name Bits Today, put that in. And then the next step for me was to reach out to NVO or Nick. He's NVO on BitClout. And I had interactions with him just on BitClout. I didn't know him personally, but I had a few interactions with him just on posts. I had actually posted an Naval Ravikant quote, and this account named NVO commented on it, correcting Naval's grammar. And I was like, dude, what a move, you know? So I clicked on the account, and in the bio, it said that he's a writer. So I made a joke about him being a writer. And then fast forward to all this madness happening, I just remembered that, and I messaged him totally blind saying, hey, do you want to be like the official like editor of whatever this is going to be? And then he responded with LOL, okay. And then that was it. And then the rest is history. So now he writes all the issues, and then we're a team of 3. And we were publishing daily issues, up until, for the first couple of weeks, we were 7 days a week. Now, because we're building, we're down to every other day, 4 days a week. But yeah, dude, it's been wild.
You just made my head go crazy right now. I'm gonna look at the Gary Vee stuff after this video, but yeah, services or merch with NFTs, that's huge. I didn't think about that, and that's gonna change the platform. There's so many ways you can take that, and that's truly gives control to the creator to monetize and to investors to hold. So yeah, this is brilliant.
Yeah, so I do a Zoom call for my top holders, and we bring in special guests. So last night we had Mark Manson, who is one of the biggest selling authors in the world. He sold 16 million books. His book is The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. Most people have seen that book now. It's a great book. I highly recommend it. But Mark was talking about how for authors, this could be a game changer, because you could put your book on BitClout, and sell that as an NFT, or courses and things like that are more advanced training material for your book. You could give to people who hold a certain amount of your coin, and it can all be automated on the blockchain, so you don't have to manage it. He has a monthly subscription website right now where people sign up with a credit card and they pay to get access to longer form blog posts and his latest thinking. That could all be built in as a coin holder service. And those coin holders that subscribe early, what if they got revenue from the people that came in later, as a reward for discovering you early? And you look at Patreon, which is a $1 billion plus company, where people sign up to give monthly donations to their favorite artists, musicians, to just support their work. They'll sign up, give them $10 a month or something like that. They don't get anything in return except for, satisfaction helping someone out, which is great. And it built a $1 billion business. But What if you eventually, when that musician that you've been supporting for 5 years, what if when they get that number one hit, you're getting a multiple on what you put in? That's what BitClout's going to allow.
That's amazing, man. And I forget we are so early. It's only been what, 3 months, 90 days, maybe a little bit more than that. It's
something Mark brought up last night that I didn't even really think about is that not only are we early on BitClout, we're actually still really early in crypto.
Yes.
So for better or worse, something I asked Mark was, when are you bringing your fans? And he said, honestly, I don't know if I'm going to bring my fans anytime soon, because my fans, they aren't super crypto savvy yet.
Yeah.
And crypto just isn't that distributed. I think crypto is still brand new.
Yeah.
So we're early for BitClout, we're early for crypto. And Mark said that he has a lot of, at the same time, well, not all of his folks are crypto. Some of them are, and those that are really into it and would get it. So he is going to be dripping it out in various like mentions on email and things like that. But there's not going to be any time soon when he says, this is my last Twitter post, go find me on BitClout. Or this is my last email newsletter, you'll have to get it here. Or I'm not selling courses or subscriptions anymore, it's all on here. Because the crypto adoption in general isn't there yet for him to turn off his regular faucet of book publishing, monthly subscriptions and sales of courses,
Yeah.
But in the future, that's all coming, man. People talk about the total addressable market size of crypto, and people are like, well, it's the banks, and money, and that's a huge thing. Well, it's actually everything. Yeah. It's actually much bigger, because it's not just the banking. That's just an example we just gave of how it could be publishing, of how it could be sports contracts, of how it could be music and record deals, and how it could be artist proceeds. I mean, we're already seeing that with NFTs, but what if all physical art was on the blockchain as well? So then, like when they just discovered this Da Vinci thing, a couple of years ago that sold for $450 million or whatever, like in the future, if all art is registered on a blockchain, then you'll be able to tell which ones are the originals and which are counterfeits. I mean, did you see that documentary, Maz, about the guy who was counterfeiting the wine?
I didn't know.
Oh, man, it's really good. I'm blanking on the name of it, but it's a guy who was a wine counterfeiter, and he would counterfeit these bottles of like $30,000, $40,000 wine.
Wow.
And he would counterfeit them exactly and sell them at these wine auctions, and made millions of dollars selling fake wine.
Wow.
And, if every bottle and every pour is on a blockchain somewhere, then that can't happen, So these are real problems that can be solved with blockchains.
Yeah, and I have no doubt this is the future. Like I said, I feel like you said, we're still early to both things, and time will tell, so it's very exciting to be here first, right? Early. Right, with that, the platform has completely changed from let's invest in Elon Musk, who is not providing any value to the platform, and more so to creators, like you said, that are going to come on here, use it, maximize it. One thing that I found interesting, though, when I first joined, I thought a lot of outside events would affect creators on the platform. For example, like the Jake Paul, Logan Paul fights, there was some fluctuation between those dates when they were fighting, the boxing matches.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to see that. I feel like we're starting to see that it's more about the value you provide on the platform than the outside world, right? Or do you think they're still going to be somewhat connected?
Yeah, that was a really interesting moment when Jake was in that fight and he knocked the guy out.
Yeah.
And Bitcoin crashed at the exact same time. It was so funny.
You're right.
No one got to see. Yeah. I was standing by and I was waiting to see, is this event going to trigger an increase in coin price? And we definitely saw was people buying his coin leading up to the fight.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And we see that a lot in crypto, They say like, what is it? Buy the pump, sell the dump or something like that, or buy the
rumor, sell the news, I think.
Buy the rumor, sell the news. That's it. Yes. So that was exactly it. There's this buzz coming up for Jake's fight. People were buying his coin. Some people were even writing me, hey, man, sorry, I got to sell your coin. I got to buy Jake Paul's coin. And then yeah, the thing happened, and you didn't get to see what happened because the whole crypto market crashed, unfortunately, that night. But it's an interesting point, right? And I guess that is something that we won't know, I don't think, anytime soon, because it's this whole economy that needs to evolve of speculating on people.
Yeah.
If other people are are taking the other side of that trade, then it evolves. But you need people on both sides, I think. And I don't necessarily mean like shorting, but I think you need people that would be, betting on other folks to have amazing reputational things happen that would advance their coin price, and that's something new. And I do see that happening in the future. I do think it'll be a thing. I don't really think it's a thing yet, though. I don't think people just having profiles on Bitclout and having creator coins on Bitclout instantly creates that speculation on famous people economy.
Exactly.
Otherwise, we'd see it with the inactives too, right?
Exactly.
I mean, did we see Elon have much dump when he said he wasn't accepting Bitcoin? I mean, who else? I'm sure there's someone in the top 20 that had some big movie role announced or something like that, were their coins pumping? I seriously doubt it.
Yeah.
If an athlete gets in the Hall of Fame, does their coin price on Bitclout pump now? I seriously doubt it. Does it pump in 5 years from now? Maybe it does.
How did you find out about Bitclout, and where do you see Bitclout going on in the future?
Yeah. Okay. So, an investor friend of ours, I don't know if he wants to remain anonymous, so I'll keep him just for his own sake. Introduced us to Diamond Hands, and they've been working on the project for quite some time. They'd incubated it, and he kind of gave us the idea that we want to create a new social network, and I thought, oh wow, that's pretty bold.
Yeah.
Maybe slightly dismissive, but then when we heard sort of the pitch behind it, the crypto elements, the ability to invest in your friends, invest in quotes. It's not a security or anything.
Yeah.
And then the ability for it to be decentralized. It was right at the time, GameStop and Wall Street Bets was heating up. Trump getting kicked off of Twitter. So you started to see this confluence of events happening in the real world that made it start to really, the idea of decentralized social media really start to make sense. Because decentralization comes at a cost, like whether that's speed or security or, the functionality on top of it. And so, why would anyone want a slower Twitter? Just when you pitch it like that, it doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was how we originally got introduced. And, I think, Connor, my partner on the site, and I met with Diamond Hands, and we were both really blown away. We brought it back to the team and said, hey, everyone, this is what's going on, what's up. It's a crazy asymmetric bet if it works. But and the downside is at least we learned a lot and tried to support something that could have a lot of positive societal benefit.
'Cause I've got to push on.